So we're officially, what, 2-3 weeks into wedding planning?
3 weeks, yeah.
It's all gone to shit. We're trying to find a venue.
Yesterday was our 1 month of being engaged.
Mm-hmm.
So we're a month and 1 day of being engaged. We took a week-ish.
Yeah, we tried to. I think we were like, okay, the first weekend we're like, okay, we're gonna take this off.
Yeah, it didn't really work out.
And then, like, I think our first conversation was like, so what do we want to do? Do we want to, like, take this weekend off, or do we want to, like, start planning? We're like, let's take it off. Well, I think I was like, let's take it off. And she was like, okay, like, I'll follow your lead. And then maybe 3 seconds later, we started talking about, like, what things we considered planning and not planning to start talking about. And so now we're a month in, so about 3 weeks into planning, and trying to find a venue. I've been working a lot, so I haven't been helping very much, and she's trying to build these arches, like these wedding arches. I sent her like an image of them, like some like homemade ones, so that way like we wouldn't be spending, you know, a few $100s on them. And
I'm a failure.
I have not seen them, so I can't comment, but I know
You'd want the ring back.
she's been struggling with them a little bit, and so it's been keeping her busy and stressed out. And she's been trying to talk to people and set up venues and like photographers and stuff like that. And so I've kind of jumped in more full now. And we're trying to figure it out. Although unfortunately, it seems like a couple of the places that we were already looking at are gone at this point. Yeah.
Within
so I mean, it happened really fast.
Or two, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
All of April and May somehow it's completely booked for next year, which makes sense. I mean, it seems like people plan like 2 years in advance, and we're trying to do it in less than 6 months or around 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that was probably the first poor decision that I had, was being like, oh, let's wait a weekend, because we were already looking at like a April-May time frame when, you know, so we got engaged on September 18th. So we're looking for like, what is that, 7-8 months?
Yeah, like
Can't
7
do math.
months.
So it was definitely one of those things where we probably should have started immediately. Like we put on, we should have just been like, put on the ring and then like, okay, let's start planning.
No, everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll figure out a place, and we'll find one.
So we're figuring that out. We're working on venues right now. So we have a couple dates in mind, right? Like we have, I think it's April 29th and May 6th are the kind of two target dates that we're looking at. And so we're trying to find a venue around that, but also we're trying to plan around kind of a smaller budget. You know, we're looking at probably like a 50 guest wedding, which, you know, doesn't sound like it's that big, but then like I know some people spend quite a bit on weddings, and we're trying to top out at like 11,000.
Yeah, I think the hard part for us too is like we're trying to do it on our own budget.
All right.
We don't want. It's not that we don't want. We don't want our families to feel forced to give us money or provide or purchase things for the wedding, especially because it is something that we chose to do, not them.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, we're kind of deciding to go on a smaller budget to invest into the wedding, which makes it a lot harder. Because apparently weddings are very expensive.
What?
I did not expect it to be this pricey. Like I was expecting like a decent amount, but it's crazy how expensive things are. Like I am just blown away that people have this amount of money to just
drop on a single day.
Drop on a day. And I mean, props if people can do that.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around doing that for a day.
I think that's the thing too, right? Like I think that's part of the reason why we were looking at trying to do a smaller budget, is because like, you know, we want to celebrate the day and make it a special day, but at the end of the day, we also don't want to spend that much on a single day. It's something that we want to save that money and invest in, like our honeymoon, or like into, you know, our future relationship, right? Like, you know, the marriage doesn't just start and end on day one, unfortunately, or fortunately. What? But so it's one of those things.
I wonder if that's like an unpopular opinion that we have, or if it's a popular opinion nowadays. If people are like, yeah, we're not going to invest that much into our wedding, and they decide to do more of like a smaller venue because they don't want to ask their like family for money.
I think
it's something that we're kind of like, no, we don't.
I think it's interesting because like I feel like there are certain people that like, I mean, they find ways, you know, it's like you were reading that people do like backyard weddings for like 5,000. I'm like, where do you get a backyard though? Because I don't have a backyard.
Yeah, unfortunately, we weren't blessed with parents that have backyards big enough.
We're also, so because we're in Southern California, like Los Angeles OC area, you know, like a 5 square foot house with, you know, one blade of grass costs $1 million. If you get it without the blade of grass, it goes down to 900,000. But I mean, why would you do that at that point?
Oh man, we should move.
Alaska, it is. Do they have backyards in Alaska?
They have.
I think it's just like a whole like frozen tundra.
That would be nice.
Yeah, I mean those pictures would look really cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd probably have a jacket though.
Well, I mean, you'd probably be like shivering in between takes. You just like
I mean, I'm shivering right now and you have the AC on.
it's 82 degrees out. Of course, I have the AC on. It's 82 degrees in October. Why?
You have a sweater on, so.
Yeah, well, I regret wearing this sweater. I made poor decisions. I thought I was gonna. Do you want some help with that?
I got you.
Okay.
Yeah,
I made some poor decisions. I thought it was gonna be cooler out because I was like, oh, it's October. It's gonna be the evening. Like, should be cooler outside, right? Should be at least under 70. But
yeah, that's where we're at right now. We're trying to figure out venues. We have a couple different appointments for this week. Apparently, virtual options or virtual tours are also a thing now, which I didn't like the idea of it, but now that we're looking at how many places you can go to in a single day, it seems like a great idea considering we can't drive from like Aliso Viejo to
Carlsbad to San Diego, back up.
All in one day, so it seems like it's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at places, I think, kind of just generally all over Southern California. Just
I mean, originally we weren't looking at that. We were kind of just looking within like OC LA.
Mm-hmm.
But it
I think we're broadening our search because of like trying to match that budget. So, you know, maybe like a small destination wedding. You know, by destination, I mean we go like 100 feet in a certain direction where it's the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Like Idaho.
Idaho it is. All right. So if you're ever having a wedding in Southern California, go to Idaho.
Don't plan it in California.
Yeah, just go to Idaho. Like you're gonna be happier that way. I think they have potatoes there. Right, that's Idaho. That's not that's Idaho, right?
Yeah.
Idaho. That's where like Five Guys gets its potatoes. It's fries. So you could just like look, you could go to Idaho, you could just have French fries. That's your plated dinners.
And the truck.
And
the Five Guys truck, like the In-N-Out truck.
Oh, but that might get expensive. Like let's just do French fries.
Just one French fry per guest.
Yeah, exactly.
You're on a diet today.
We're blowing the budget already.
But yeah, so
that's
we
where
have
we
a
are.
couple different locations, also photographers and videographers. Like, I know it's a super important thing to have for weddings, but it's crazy pricey too. We were not expecting it to be that pricey. I think we found like one photographer that can do like photography and videography, and his stuff looks good. So we're excited for that. Hopefully they can travel. If we decide to have it in like the middle of nowhere, hopefully they can have reception and find the way there.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're trying to have a reception, so. This is where she tells me to leave.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. We're also thinking of maybe having just like not like bring your own booze, but like we're providing the booze and not having like a bartender there and stuff.
Yeah, I think
especially
that's how we're trying
not
to.
having like little ones. We're only having like my nephews, and that's about it. But
yeah, I think that's one of the things. It seems like a lot of these venues, like the big prices, are related to like food and beverage minimums, which I think is something that like we never realized beforehand. Because you know, you look and it's like, oh, the venue fee is like $2,000, and you're like, okay, I can manage that. But then it's like $15,000 food and beverage minimum, and you're like, wait, what?
yeah.
So I think that's one of the things, like,
Which doesn't seem like it's bad in general. Like, I feel like that's the average venue price at this moment for like the locations.
Especially when you
at.
factor in like bigger weddings too, right? Like if you have like, you know, a couple hundred people, like it's probably pretty easy to hit that.
Yeah. Just not what we're looking for at the moment.
So, and like one of those places where we feel like we can definitely save is like, you know, bring your own caterers, bring your own alcohol kind of thing. You know, we can go to like Costco or someplace and get like wholesale alcohol, and like you get all the normal stuff, but like paying wholesale versus like retail prices, or even like, you know, when you go to a bar, like the same like a bottle of vodka, let's say, is like $500 versus like you get it at Costco, you can get it for like $30. And so like that money adds up.
Yeah.
So those are just some of the things we're
Struggling
considering right
with.
now. We're struggling with, we're considering, but we're we're figuring it out. So, but that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
So
If anyone has any suggestions for a smaller budget wedding in California and how they managed to do it if they didn't have a backyard already set, please let us know. Because
Yeah.
we are open to suggestions. at this
Absolutely.
point. We're like broadening our spectrum of things we were originally thinking of at this point. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care where we do it or what it looks like. I'm just excited. I'm happy. Oh, also,
oh,
we missed like a huge part too. So
Oh, man.
the first thing we were originally talking about was not talking about wedding planning for the first week, but we started talking about where we were gonna have like our ceremonies, because I'm Catholic and he's Jewish, and we weren't sure how we wanted to go about it. And I know I wanted to get married in church, and I know he also wanted to have his ceremony. So it looks like if God allows, we will be having 2 different ceremonies.
on the same day.
All on the same day, hopefully. We didn't know how to do that either. We were like, should we do it one day, one ceremony, and the other day the other ceremony? But Aaron brought up a good point, and he was mentioning how he didn't want to make one ceremony seem more important than the other one. But we were able to figure out if we could just manage to have both of them in one day. That would be really cool. So that's also something we're kind of going through and maneuvering through.
It's a lot of moving pieces, but we're figuring it out.
I'm excited.
I am too.
Stressed, but excited.
All right. Well, it's October 19th, right? Today's October 19th, I think.
October 19, 2022.
See you guys later.